Hey folks, this is Kalani. Customization has always been a bit thin with World of Warcraft, especially lately. Some other games just do character creation better than WoW right now, which is a bit of a shame because I still think the actual game is one of the best on the market. Thankfully, we have some more updates which increase the amount of customization we have access to, and the dev team are adding in some cool new effects to really set us up for the new expansion. There are also some little nerfs and buffs to some essences that I want to talk about, so let's get started. First things first, the dev team has promised time and time again that we'll be seeing more customization options, both in patch 8.3 and as we move into the Shadowlands expansion. We've seen some changes to how glowing eyes are being displayed, which is really cool, but they've gone one step further for all of the Death Knights out there. Have you ever wished for the same wispy tendrils that come out of Arthas's eyes, or I guess Bolvar's eyes at this point, seeing as Arthas has been dead and buried for the past 10 years or however long it is now, but that otherworldly, ghostly touch on the eyes looks pretty awesome, doesn't it? And now you can have it too, or at least you can if you're a Death Knight. This one seems to be only for those of us who have been risen back into service as Death Knights. All of that torment and turmoil is going to be worth it just for these shiny eyes. You can check out this new change over on the PTR incredibly easily. Just copy over your own Death Knight to see how you look with the new eye effect, or just go to the character creation screen and flip through all of the various races so you can see how it looks on each of them. It actually looks quite different depending on the race and gender you're playing, so you might want to pay particular attention to this little detail in the future. The glowing eye changes were a step forward in my opinion, and it lays the groundwork to add on some extra cool effects like what we're seeing with the Death Knights, but a lot of other races and classes have glowing eyes too, and there are even variations in a class that could be tapped into. The Death Knight eye trail looks awesome, but it kind of fits the Frost spec more so than the other two. Wouldn't it be cool to get a red glow for Blood Death Knights and a greenish yellow glow for Unholy DKs? The dev team has promised more customization than ever before with the new expansion, so who knows what they can add in next. Blood Elves might see more effects, Night Elves could have more options alongside their Night Warrior look, Demon Hunters could get an update as well. I'm actually really excited to see what the dev team can come up with to get the World of Warcraft character creation and customization up to speed with the rest of the market. We've been stuck in the past for quite a while now. WoW might just be the most popular MMO with such a restrictive character creation system. Delving into the Shadowlands might be the first step to turning that unfortunate situation around. If you love playing your Death Knight, I would highly recommend popping over to the PTR to see what your favourite tune looks like with these new eye effects in place. You won't be disappointed. Speaking of more customization options, do you remember the semi-recent recruiter friend rewards that were revealed? Even though some pets, enchant effects and mounts were included, I think the item that most people got excited about was the backpack. It was the first cloak slot transmog that wasn't an actual cloak, and sort of opened up the door of possibilities for what might come next. If you can fit it on your back, and it actually makes sense, it might become a cloak transmog. The backpacks were the first venture into this unknown land, but the only one on offer was locked behind quite a ridiculous paywall in the form of the recruiter friend feature. They could have done so much more with that, preferably in a way that doesn't just encourage people to recruit themselves over and over and over again. I think people are recruiting 12 accounts all for themselves so they can get all of the rewards right away, because recruiting one account for 12 months, even if you put all 12 months onto the account, apparently just isn't good enough. That's pretty daft if you ask me, both that they have to have 12 accounts and that the easiest way to do this and get all the rewards is just to recruit yourself. But I guess Blizzard isn't complaining. If you're wondering where I'm going with this, and I do apologise for going off on a bit of a tangent there, there's a new backpack transmog available in patch 8.3. See, it all ties in eventually. The black dragon scale backpack can be purchased from none other than Rathian himself for a tidy sum of 40,000 corrupted mementos. Corrupted mementos are one of the new main currencies in patch 8.3, and you'll be using them for a few different things. 40,000 might take quite a long while to obtain though, so this definitely isn't a reward that you can pick up on day one of patch patch 8.3, it's more something to work towards. To put things into perspective on this, Rathian also sells a mount for 100,000 mementos and an item that can add a socket onto any piece of gear for 25,000 mementos. So this backpack transmog is going to be worth almost 2 sockets on your gear. That's incredibly valuable, and you're going to have some hard choices to make because this backpack looks pretty fantastic. I'm sure you can build a whole wardrobe of transmog sets around this one piece, which is sure to be exciting for all of the collectors out there. I think it's really interesting that they've decided to add in another cloak transmog piece for the sole purpose of changing a cloak into something that isn't a cloak, in the same patch where they're introducing a legendary cloak that upgrades its appearance. The various stages of the cloak having different appearances is pretty huge, and it's a way to show off all of the progress you're making. Fully upgraded, I think the cloak looks awesome as well, but then I'll probably just replace this huge time investment with a backpack. That tickles me for some reason, but just in case you are hungry for some more transmog options for the back slot specifically, you should be happy to know that Rathian has something very special for you in patch 8.3. Alongside these aesthetic changes, we also have some balance tuning in the latest PTR build. A few essences are being brought under the magnifying glass, and I can't help but wonder why these specific ones are being tweaked. First up is the condensed Life Force essence. This is the Ajara raid tier essence that can only be acquired from the Eternal Palace. In previous builds, the damage increase from the shards was knocked down to 3% from 5%, so this essence has already received 1 round of nerfs before this. In the current build, the rate at which your Guardian fires off Azerite shards has also been nerfed, from every 2 seconds to every 2.5 seconds. That might not seem like a lot, and it kind of isn't, but previously with a 30-second uptime, assuming the Guardian fires right on time every 2 seconds, he should get out 15 Azerite shards. With the 2.5 second nerf, he can now only get out 12 Azerite shards. It definitely is a minor thing, but it's also something that has an immediate impact on the damage potential of the essence. It's just a straight up damage nerf on a damage essence. Coupled with the damage increase nerf, it could knock this essence off the top spot for a few classes. Honestly, I wouldn't actually be surprised if this essence gets nerfed even further. It's a bit of a problem area for the essence system as a whole. If the essences that we have access to right now in the current patch, the current raid tier, the current zones, and the current reputations, if they all stay best in slot for various classes and specs, what happens when we move on from these areas? When the raid is old, the reputations are old, but still provide the most powerful essences for the Heart of Azeroth? That's going to be a bit strange, especially for any new or returning players that haven't experienced the system before. It's also going to be pretty annoying and frustrating for alts, because you'll be wanting to play them in the new Visions content, the new Assaults, the new Gearing Up pass. You don't want to go back to Nazjatar or Mechagon and fart around there for a few hours every day to try and get caught up. That might be why the condensed Life Force essence has been nerfed a couple times already, and we might see a few more, just to kick it off the top spot and help make some of the new essences more enticing. You know what else the dev team could do to make the new essences more enticing? Buff them, and that's exactly what they're doing to the Breath of the Dying essence. I am super interested to see how this essence performs in all types of content, because I think it has some great potential. If you're not familiar with this essence, the on-use just deals damage, and if the target has more than 80% health or less than 20% health, the cooldown is significantly reduced. If you kill a target with the on-use, it resets completely and increases the damage of the next use by 100%. The passive effect gives your abilities a chance to deal extra damage, and if the target is below 20%, the damage proc chance is increased by 400%. It sounds like this is going to be an amazing raiding essence, especially for fights with tough execute phases. The execute factor alone on this essence should make it fantastic for progression fights. So what about these buffs? Well, the latest PTR build fully doubled the damage of the minor power proc. A damage buff is always nice, but double the damage is pretty hefty. It's also going to snowball a little bit with the execute effect. Double the damage 400% more often. This makes me think they're trying to tip the balance in favour of some of the newer essences, while taking the old essences down a notch to make sure we're actually interested in the new stuff And then also, so we don't have to go running around outdated content to get some of the best essences available for alts or new characters. Now this essence did also receive a bit of a nerf at the same time, but I would call it more balance tuning. When you kill a target with the active effect, the cooldown used to reset entirely. Now it resets down to 5 seconds, which is still going to be incredibly useful, but it won't allow you to do things like this. When all is said and done, being able to one-shot everything with every global you use is probably a little too powerful, so now you'll have to wait 5 seconds before you can one-shot your next mob. I still think it's going to be an invaluable essence for questing and world questing, and the passive effect is probably an instant lock-in for any DPS in the next raid tier, especially when we gain access to yet another minor essence slot. I kind of hope the condensed life force gets nerfed a bit more. It's going to be boring if everyone is running the same essences from last tier. Let's shake things up a bit more, Blizzard. But that's all I have for you from the PTR right now. Stay tuned for more 8.3 goodness. What do you think of the addition of another backpack transmog? Are there any other cloak transmogs that you'd love to see added into the game? We know they're adding in some winged transmog for the Shadowlands and the Covenants, but can you think of anything else that would look awesome on your character's back? Leave all your thoughts in the comments section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon. You can see their names floating by on screen. If you want to join these lovely guys and gals, you can find a link in the description below. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.